Leadership Theories and Lean on Me. This is a film that is really all about culture and creating a new culture. In the film, Joe Clark is the main character who is tasked with coming into this high school that is just broken and terrible, and the culture is, filled with disrespect and is filled with violence and gangs and drugs and I'd like to believe that some of the scenes were a bit hyperbolic, but really some of that stuff really does occur. So when Joe Clark comes in, he has to, first of all, I think he wants to change the culture, and he does have some idiosyncrasy credits. He does have the belief of one student really believes in him because she had him in elementary school and she has seen what he can do and how he can change people's lives. And I think that one voice on his side, he needed that. Um, One thing that I was thinking before I get into some of the newer things that we talked about, really, I keep going back to Henry Fayol's 14 um, management steps, 14 principles of management. Um, Really, I just kept thinking, um, I think one way that he really failed, and he does come back in the film and I think acknowledge this failure later, is the unity of command, number four. And I think he was so concerned with number three, the authority, or the discipline, that he really, the unity of command, I think that he had to be so harsh with these. And I think that there is a place where he really did have to be harsh with these teachers because they had failed their students. But there's one scene where he fires the music teacher, and I didn't think it was justified at all. And I think it was because he felt that there was disrespect there. But I kind of understood that he should have, I think, not been as hard headed. And I think he pushed a lot of people away, a lot of his coworkers away throughout the movie until his vice principal essentially calls him out on it. Um, and um, yeah, that the teamwork became such an important element there. His, no matter how strong willed his individual efficacy is, he needs that collective efficacy. He needs that unity of command, or else it's not going to work. And I think that he was actually teaching that. He was actually teaching about number 14, esprit de corps, the spirit of the body. He just, I don't think it had quite clicked in his own mind because he was so frustrated with the enormity of his own tasks. He wasn't trusting the people around him because they had failed in the past. But I think where he really shone brightly in the spirit of the body is he pushed and pushed for the school song to be something that the students had memorized. And it wasn't until the end that he gets it, when he gives the speech to everyone and that he says, like, we're all in this together. But having that school song memorized was a really big deal to him. And I think it became a big deal with the students, especially when one of the teachers kind of made it her own and changed it a little bit. And then all of a sudden they had this spirit of the body. But even though he was teaching that, I don't think that he quite believed it. Because I think he really was trying to do it all himself. And he, like, when he's having this argument with his vice principal, he's like, I have done this. And she's like, you don't even say thank you. And, like, we're putting in the work too. And, like, you have to realize that you are part of a team. And so when he comes back and apologizes, then he says, you know what? Like, students, you are the team. Teachers, you are the team. It's not just me trying to fix a broken system. And I think one of the things that really stuck out that the vice principal said was, like, these kids they actually want this discipline. They want to learn. So you're saying you're doing all the work, but you're just doing the easy part. You're the guide. There's only so much that he can do. I thought that was interesting. As far as attribution error or attribution theory, like when you're looking at attributing how someone looks or acts, I thought it was interesting that, like, one of the students, when the students start to respect him and gain the rapport with him, one of the students goes, like, look, Mr. Clark, and he's got a suit, and he's wearing the suit completely the wrong way with, like, these gold chains, and it's unbuttoned, it doesn't fit the way that a professional suit should. But it was so funny. He goes, look, Mr. Clark, just like me, we gotta look, or just like you, we gotta look the part, right? And I thought that was a brief example of attribution theory. He attributed Mr. Clark with success and the way that Mr. Clark was dressed to his success, and he actually tried to imitate that in his own way. And I thought that was actually a really cool visual picture of when it started to click with the students. One thing that we had talked about in an earlier in an earlier video was the fact that leader-member exchange. There's going to be special relations with some, like the girl that he had done elementary school with, or the boy that had gotten kicked out, which I'm going to come back to in a second. Everybody being kicked out because that was near the very beginning of the movie. He really develops these special one, or the boy that copied his suit. He develops these one-on-one member exchanges. The leader-member exchange. I thought that was really an important part of what he was doing, and I don't think that how harsh he had to be in the beginning works without, some of them realizing how much he cares. I think that when he comes in, there's theory X and there's theory Y. Theory X saying that, some people are people are generally lazy, unmotivated, bad. Theory Y saying people are good given the opportunity, and I think, he said, Patterson, you said, not to be a sheepdog, be like Babe in the movie Babe. Such a great example. The dogs are, nipping at their heels and yelling at the sheep, and Babe just says, "Can you guys please move?" Fantastic movie. I actually think that Mr. Clark sort of balances those different things. I think that he treats different people different ways based on what they've already shown. I think he actually kind of draws a line at, okay, if you're a gang member, you're a drug dealer, at this point you're too far gone, and I can't have you corrupting the other ones. But so I think he does theory Y with some of his newer kids, or the kids that he doesn't kick out, and theory X for the ones he does throw out, because to quote him, you wouldn't want one or two rotten apples to spoil a whole bunch. And I thought that was interesting. That was an interesting approach. And I do like that there is redemption for the one boy that comes back, and it's not easy. It's not easy. And he ends up yelling at him and cursing at him, and he says, like, why don't you just jump off this roof? Because that's going to kill you faster. That's easier than smoking crack, and you're going to be dead anyways. And the boy says, I don't want to die. And he said, all right, but it's not going to be easy. That was some tough love, but it was still love. And I think that it was still grounded in that theory Y that he had the ability to do good in some ways. I don't know. And I think maybe the vice principal is really the real representation of theory Y, which pushes him over that edge. Like when she says, like, these students want to learn, like, you're doing the easy part. I think that's when it really clicks fully for him. I think he certainly comes in and creates a new culture, in a new way. He comes in and create and maintain culture. Like when he tells the janitor, he says, like, new graffiti goes up, you take it down. I think that was, that's definitely a good example of maintaining this standard of cleanliness, and that was cool. You got to destroy the ineffective culture, like literally, like cleaning up the graffiti, destroy that ineffective culture, or even just not listening to him, like, we're gonna cut that out. And I think that was a really important part of the way that he approached things. Maslow and Aldifer, we talked low and high needs. That was the first thing on this list. I should have talked about that first. He has so many things being thrown at him that I think he has to address the most important things, and he really felt that the alma mater, creating that spirit of the body, is more important than learning Mozart, which is where he gets in the argument with the music teacher. And I think that he was right, but the way he goes about doing that was wrong, because I think that in her classroom she should have the individual authority, and be able to understand the material that's being taught. I definitely think he had to come in swinging at the beginning. make some hard choices because it was hard at the beginning. And you know, I felt that he shows mercy. You know, more and more he allows himself to be seen as the friend to the kids that's like doing jump rope with them and teasing them and actually letting them make fun of him a little bit. I think more and more we see that throughout the film. Um, but I think it was very hard for him to like let that guard down, um, because of how, how much these kids would take advantage of him if he didn't. Um, but that's Theory X and Theory Y. Really, Theory X is him at the beginning, and then Theory Y is the vice principal. How she sort of changes his mind. Yeah. Yeah. And then attribution error. I know I talked about attribution theory. The fault of the teacher. Um, he's straight up with him. He says like, "This is your fault. This is not the student's fault." At times. That's trying to go back through. I think. Attitudes. I didn't talk about affective, behavioral, and cognitive. Attitudes. So there's a lot of, I think, attitude problems when he comes in, and he notices that the littlest things, like who one kid hangs out with, is going to affect their attitudes, or how one kid dresses is going to affect their attitudes. So I think he kind of uses those little things and like pushing and even being harsh with them at times about things to push their behavior, so that it affects that cognitive attitude. I think is what that is about. Yeah, I think that covers it.